If you enjoy truthful and heartfelt conversations to inspire you to become a better version of yourself, Empowering Stories will help you. Hello, Marilise. Thank you so much for being here. How are you?
Hi, Anna. I'm fantastic. Thank you very much. And thank you so much for having me on your show today.
Oh my God, it's such a treat. Marilise is going to tell us about the roar. And even though she looks and she is and she behaves so nicely and she's so gentle and so loving and warm, and I mean, you feel like hugging her, right? Just by looking at that beautiful face and that posture and everything. However, she has a secret weapon that she's going to tell us about. Yeah?
Yes.
Go for it.
Yeah, so Roar is my life's work. It's my gift. And I discovered it very, very long time ago. I think at the age of 12, when I realized one Saturday afternoon that I was sexually abused when I was 8 years old, and was really, really sort of shocked because this voice came to me, this angel came to me, and I understood for the first time what happened to me. But of course, at that moment, I also realized that my sister was at the perpetrator's house. So it was a neighbor, someone that was trusted by our family, and I just realized that I had to go to his house now and to go see if my sister is okay. And I got there and she was okay, thankfully, and I've managed to stay there. I've managed to interact with them, and there came a point, it felt like ages, but there came a point where I just stood up and I looked him straight in the eye and I said to him, "We are going home now." And that was my very first roar. And it was that sort of brave moment where I was able to stand up against the abuser and to say to him, "This stops now. Enough is enough." And then, of course, we learn these lessons over and over in our lives. So I reached the ripe old age of 40 when I realized again that I was in a similar situation of abuse, but not sexual abuse, but verbal abuse. And I had to deal with a workplace bully. So I had a successful corporate career, I thought, but of course, success in my old definition was all about career success and the money. And then I realized, that everything else was falling apart. My health was falling apart, my relationships were falling apart. And I also came to a day where I looked up and I realized that enough is enough. And that's when I walked away. So this was about 4 years ago when I walked away from my corporate career and I stood up, found my roar, and I started my own business. Now, I always say to people, I'm a bit of an accidental entrepreneur. This wasn't planned. But of course, I realized that there was a bigger calling on my life. And in the last 4 years, I've really worked hard to find myself, so Roar is all about inside out living. It's about taming the bully inside and out. And that is also the title of my book, How to Tame the Bully Inside and Out, because I realized that the relationship that I had with myself was the most toxic relationship, and it was manifesting in my outer world. So I really had to look deep, deep, deep inside and have some really, really courageous conversations with myself in order for me to step out and now share my roar with you guys.
Wow. You were talking about the old definition of success, like being at the top of the corporate ladder, cars, whatever it is, the titles, the labels. What's your new definition of success?
So I have a very, my simple definition is to be a world-class transformational leader. But of course, that has many facets.
Is that all?
No, that includes many, many, many things, right?
I love it.
To be a world-class mum, to be a world-class wife, to be a world-class accidental entrepreneur, but most of all, to be a world-class me, to show up as the best version of me. Because one of the biggest lessons I learned was to prioritize me on my list of priorities. Because at the end of the day, I kind of always, and I think I know this and I say this, but I think I still need to learn a lot about this, but it's that sort of all love starts with self-love. And you can only give to others what you have for yourself, and sort of, you can only pour from your own cup if your cup is overflowing. And I really just love the fact that I've been able to really transition from that sort of external world success to actually realizing that it all happens. I have this power inside me to make anything possible.
Yeah, I can feel it. I can feel that power. When you said world class, something just clicked inside me, because world class is, what is it? World class is to be the best that you can be, but we don't need to compare with anybody. It's not the definition of somebody else's world class being known by 7 million people or having this many likes, is it?
Absolutely.
Go a bit more into the world class, because I know that there's something there extremely important.
I think this is exactly it, Anna. You spot on there, because world class is by your own definition, and it's the best version of you, right? So nobody can do you better than you can do you. And I think what we do every day is we tend to kind of go into this competitive mindset where we compare ourselves to others and to the external world. And what really changed for me is when I've realized that actually I don't want to become another Anna or another Owen or another Tony Robbins or another Dean Graciosi or another Maya. I want to become the best version of me. And if I do, and when I do, that authenticity will make me world class.
Yeah, independent of the numbers.
Exactly, exactly. And at the end of the day, I always talk about the power of one, because it is about one conversation at a time. You change and transform yourself and others one conversation at a time. And we always want to think about, the masses and influencing the masses, and it's great, and we want to, and we will, but it's that sort of be comfortable and accept that it starts with one.
Wow, that's so incredibly powerful. Simple, but so powerful. Because, yeah, we think about all those masses and we want to reach so many people and create these funnels and attract more and more and then sell them the next beat and the next beat and the next beat. And as you're saying, all it takes is to be in one conversation at a time, being showing up as the best versions of ourselves. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the other person is going to give us keys for the next step of us becoming into a little bit better, a little bit better. No better because we are not wrong, there's nothing wrong with us, but to get our talents out there shinier, so to speak.
Love that. I love that. And it's that sort of, absolutely, that it's the realization that we're always becoming. We're never a finished article. So yes, there's nothing wrong with us, but there's always a better version of us, and um, a more complete version, I would almost want to say, of us, of ourselves. And that we're always in search of that higher meaning, stepping into that, what is the higher meaning and the higher purpose of my life. And I think we're just always searching for that. And I think we've got to really give ourselves permission, and to realize that it's okay to want more and to become more and to have more. Because I think we grew up, or I certainly grew up in a society, where I was always sort of, when you have those aspirations and those dreams and those desires, it's almost like you're not allowed to, because you've got to be humble. You've got to almost like make yourself small.
Yeah, pride, the horrible sin of pride.
Exactly. And it's very much, I think, also traditionally in a Christian connotation. For me personally, it was very much this whole, you've got to be humble, and if you want more, and if you want to be rich and wealthy, and yeah, it's that whole pride, that negative connotation. I think you're spot on, Anna. It's that negative connotation attached to pride.
Yeah, when it doesn't make sense, because if we do believe that there's a God, a deity out there, a universe, call it whichever way you want, that's omnipotent, and we are created to that image, who the hell are we to say, no, I'm going to shine very little? Imagine us start saying, oh yeah, I can shine this bright, but I'm going to make it smaller. There's no point. Why do we do it as humans? Why do we do it, Marilise?
I know. I mean, I know, and it's crazy because I've been doing it for the better part of my life. You know, I think for 40 years I've proactively self-sabotaged in the sense that I kept trying to make myself smaller. And you know, there's a part of you that knows that there's bigger and better and greater things, and it's all grounded in wanting to make the world a better place, you know, and helping people. For me personally, it's about helping people become the best versions of themselves. You know, I was like thinking about a tagline for my new online course this morning, and it was like, unleash your voice, unleash your life, because that just came to me, and I'm like, that's not me just being clever, that's me tapping into that higher self and asking, what is the purpose here, what is the bigger calling on my life? And that's just a small example, but it's like, how often do we cut off that little voice and we just retract, and we kept thinking, oh, but that person has got more followers, to your point earlier, than me. So you revert back to the societal norms and expectations, and you forget about that really, really powerful little voice inside you that's actually helping you navigate through all this chaos that we live in.
Yeah. Plus, all those masses cannot get the same attention from whoever's on the stage as if we're working with 1, 2, or 10 people.
Exactly.
And not everybody has the same needs. So for some people, being amongst 11,000 people, it's okay and they get everything they need, but some others need more attention.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, yeah, we need a lot of angels out there. And I'm saying angels because before you mentioned them. You mentioned angels, you are talking about a higher purpose, you are talking about getting better all the time. That makes me wonder, what's your conception of life? Do you think that we live once and that's it? Do you think that this continues on and our spirit just inhabits different bodies? Do you think that angels help us navigate through, or can we connect directly to source? Are we source?
I don't really I try not to think about this, because I think when I try to understand it, I make myself crazy. And so I try to tap into what I believe in my deepest soul. And I do believe that we are infinite beings, you know, in a finite body. So we're having a finite experience here on life, but we are infinite beings. And so our soul lives on and forever.
So we come here, we learn some lessons, then we come back, learn some other lessons. Is that how you think it works?
Yeah, I think so. I don't understand it, but I believe it.
It makes sense to you.
Yes, it makes
Fair
sense.
enough, fair enough. Tell me something about this online course that you're preparing.
Yeah, so this is my course for my raw my blueprints, and my book that I published 2 years ago. And there's a part of me that keeps beating myself up because I haven't done this in the last 2 years. I wanted to launch this course 2 years ago, but of course the universe has perfect timing, and I wasn't ready 2 years ago. I'm ready now. And it's essentially the methodology, the blueprint that I've created in terms of how I live my best life every day. And the raw blueprint is very much centered in living your life on purpose, in your power, and with the courage to speak truth. So it's really about you connecting with your purpose, tapping into your personal power, and really then unleashing your voice. And that's why I said this morning, the unleashing of the voice, which is then unleashing your life, for me really resonates with my message, with my life experience, and it feels congruent. And yeah, so I'm developing this online course now, finally, after 2 years since publishing my book. And I feel ready now. And so I'm going to put it out there in the universe, but I'm going to launch this by come the end of June. This course will be ready to be launched to the world.
Wow, that's fantastic. In courses in general, Marilise, I'm not talking about yours, I haven't seen it yet. Or in many courses is, these are the 7 rules to become financially free. These are the 10 habits of being super duper. These are the meals that you have to eat if you want to have this body.
Not me.
Exactly. It's not me either. And these books are so helpful, but whenever there's a list of whatever number of items, I can never tick them off. I just can't do it. So how are you going to help assist, guide people to tap into those powers with a system?
I'm very much the holistic approach type of person, and I've done a ton of work on high performance habits over the last 4 years. I'm a high performance coach. I certified with Brendan Burchard. So he's my teacher who's certified me and certifies me, recertifies me every year. And the whole point of high performance habits is around high performance living, but it's about you developing the habits that will make you the best version of yourself and living your best life. So of course there are 6 habits or whatever, but it's about you, how you make them work for you, how you implement them for you. And it's about, recognizing where you are. So it's always comparing yourself against where you are and where you want to go and what works for you. I had some real struggles in the past with morning routines, because I always tried this person's morning routine and that person's morning routine, and I was like, no, other people's morning routines are not going to work for me. I have to figure out my own morning routine, and I have to find something that really is going to bring out the best in me. So I think what I would love to achieve with my program is to give people the almost like the guardrails, but it's almost like you've got to figure out where you fit within that for yourself. So where you are and where you want to get to. So there's essentially 4 modules in my program. It's authentic purpose. So it's really connecting with your purpose. And of course, we all are at such different stages in our lives. So it's about meeting you where you're at and just taking that next small step. Then the second module is about winning your inner game. So that's all about mastering your mindset and really critically reviewing that conversation that you're having with yourself, and having more empowering conversations. And we know, and this takes years and years and years and years. This is not just a quick fix overnight thing. So of course my 6-week course or my 4-module course or whatever it's going to pan out being, I'm not sure yet, is going to be very much just scratching the surface. But it's going to be, as you said earlier, some will be happy with that, but some will need more help and guidance and support, and will want to go on a longer transformational journey. So hopefully I'll be able to kind of get that balance right, where I'm catering for the masses, but I'm also attracting the people that want to go further. So the third module is all about winning the outer game. And I always say that to me is like supercharging you, right? So this is about how do you generate that energy for life? So what are your sort of daily habits around generating energy and showing up as the best version of yourself? And then the 4th module is all about roar. So roar is a 4-step process for having more powerful, more courageous conversations with yourself and with others. So it's all about communication and influence, and that's where the unleashing of your voice comes from. So it's very broad topics, and it's not saying these are the steps you've got to follow. It gives you the guidance. It shows you what it could look like, but it breaks it down into, you break it down into the steps that you need to take, and it's hopefully giving you that mindset of having the courage to take, I always say, massive, messy, imperfect action. So just take that next step. That's all we need to know, is that next step. We don't need to know the whole how. We just need to know the next step. Yeah, so that's kind of my ambition with this program.
It's absolutely beautiful. And what I'm thinking is that is a way to go back to being ourselves. We were born one way, then we got screwed up along the way, and we need to go back to who we were. However, by not fixing, by going back to who we were and stepping in our shoes, the next generations will become empowered more easily.
Yes.
Because we will be allowing them to be. We will give them voice from day one. We will give them space to be who they are, and we'll fuck up a lot less with them. Does it make sense? Is that your ambition, to have an influence?
Absolutely. I was thinking about it this morning. It's so amazing how you say it, because this is not a formulated thought in my mind yet, but it's something that came up in my mind, which is like, I wonder if in 2000 years people are going to talk about the angels today, like the people who are making the world a better place. I was thinking about Bob Proctor, who's just died, who's passed on. So he would not say that he died. He would say, that he's now living an amazing life, the best life possible. But it's that sort of those types of people who's had such a tremendous positive impact in the world, right? Are those the people we are going to talk about in 2000 years, and as the angels, and I just don't know. That thought just came up in my mind. Really weird, really random thoughts. Um, but to your point, Anna, I'm actually also thinking about how do I adapt my raw framework so that it's actually helpful to teenagers and unleashing the teen spirit, because this is about all the mistakes that I've made. Mistakes, not mistakes. I mean, valuable. I've manifested. I've invited. I know all that. It's happened for a reason, and everything happens for a reason. Sometimes it's really really hard to live by that, because sometimes life get really really tough. But that aside, I'm really hoping that my business can expand to the point where I can really have my social impact work, which is going to be with teenagers and teenagers navigating, because I was a troubled teenager. So at 12 I started exercising obsessively. I started restricting my food. That quickly turned into a really serious eating disorder, which I struggled with for many many years, like over 15 years, throughout my teens and my early 20s. And I ended up in rehab. So I know the trouble, and how troubled our minds get, the depression, the anxiety. For me, it was more anxiety. Like I just wanted to jump out of my body. I just couldn't be inside my body. And I want to help those teenagers navigate that anxiety better, the stress better, the social pressures better. But of course, you've got to position it at a level which they are ready for as well. So, yeah, so that's also something I'm working on.
Beautiful. It's beautiful that you have that in mind for the future generations as well.
I think that's our biggest job purpose. We've got to leave. Well, I say we've got to leave our legacies, but we actually also have to live our legacies every day, don't we?
Yeah, you were talking about Proctor as one of the angels that we could see in 2000 years from now, and oh, he changed so many lives. However, I want to here to recognize and to say thank you to those parents, sometimes mothers, sometimes fathers, to those parents who give their kids the space to be, who love them no matter what, who open the doors, even though they don't agree with everything their kids do, but who love them unconditionally. I think those parents are changing the world.
100%.
Maybe nobody knows, and in the future they will know, but it'll be there one day.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, Anna, because I don't necessarily think you have to be a famous person to be an angel. Because I was also thinking this morning, and I didn't clock this until you've just said it, is I was always also thinking about all the angels that nobody knew. Because I was thinking, okay, so I see all these people, these famous people, but I also see the masses, and I see the angels that were with them, but they kind of they've done their quiet, they've made their quiet difference in the world. And I think absolutely, and our parents, 100%. I as a mum myself, of two teenage boys, um, that's my most important job. And the biggest or most important part of my legacy has to be that I raise them as, respectful, courteous, ambitious young men. And, I sort of think nothing else really matters that much, does it?
I'll tell you something. When I got COVID some months ago, I thought, well, what if I die? And I thought, if I die, my work is done with my children. They're done. They're a perfect product as much as I could. But I've given them all those tools that you're talking about. They are full in themselves. They are whole. They're done. So if I die now, fine. If I live, it's a present. So I'll just enjoy my life.
Wow.
And that is it.
That is such credit to you, and I'm curious to know how you've done it. I would love to know because I'm still in that process, and I firmly believe that my kids don't follow what I say; they follow what I do.
Oh,
I know that if I show up as the best version of me and set a good example for them, I've got a pretty good shot at getting it right.
yeah.
I'm you just don't know, do you?
About a good example, yes, to be impeccable with your words, to be impeccable with your actions, but then allowing yourself to make mistakes, to commit sins. Sins. A sin is to miss the mark. That's all it is. And when that happens, go back to them and say, listen, remember when I shouted at you? Remember when I said this thing to this person? Now, upon reflection, I feel this way, I see it this way. I'm sorry. So as much as we can teach them by example, doing everything right, we teach them tons by doing things in not the perfect way, because that gives them the permission to also make, as you said, mistakes in inverted commas or whichever way it is. But sometimes we're going to yell, sometimes we're going to lose it, but we can go back and say, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry.
Thank you. That is a gift. I'm writing this down because it's
Thank you.
it's so powerful to say sorry, and I think it has to be meant from the heart. I do this frequently. I'm going to use some strong words, but I lose my shit, with the boys, and it's that sort of action afterwards when you actually do explain to them that you acknowledge that you were wrong, and you explain to them why and what happened. The thing I think we've just got to be really careful with is not using that as an excuse to shout,
of course,
to make mistakes, because I
of
think
course,
having worked in a very toxic work environment and with a bully, I think it's that person who uses that to manipulate other people.
Mm.
So there's a bit of a dark side to this as well, which I don't necessarily want to go into, but I think there is that sort of teaching your kids that that the apology is sincere.
Yeah.
It has to be sincere, and we can't keep making the same mistake.
No, and that's something that we have in the Catholic Church. You see, you can commit as many sins as you want, because then you go to confession and you spill the beans there, and then you get a blessing, and you go out and you do the same thing again, which is how some people from the outside of the Catholic Church sees that confession works. And that's not the point. The point is that if you shout at your kids, the next time before shouting, stop. Count to 10, bite your finger, do whatever it takes. Just shut your mouth, breathe deep, stop. And before yelling, see the world from their eyes and look up. Would you like to see your mom yelling at you?
Yes, I love that.
How did you feel when your mom was yelling at you? That's how they're feeling.
Yeah,
Is that what you want? Is that what you want for them?
I love that. I absolutely love that. Thank you, Anna.
Oh, you're welcome. We can make a course together.
Yes. I think we should.
I would love that. We can think about it.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
brilliant.
if if you have a magic wand, as many wishes as you want, whatever it is. We're not going here with only one wish, no. It's a magic wand, for God's sake. A magic wand has all the wishes you want inside.
I'm going to be honest with the very, very first thing that popped up in my mind. And as you said that, that instant, I was visualizing myself in South Africa, waking up on this beautiful, beautiful piece of land where everything is green and I have flowers, I can hear the water, I can see the mountains, and it's my dream home. I'm in South Africa with my family, my boys, but also close to my mum and dad, close to my sisters. And I just, at this stage, I just feel like that is, if I can magic that wand now, it's something that I'm dreaming of right now, to be back in my home country, my homeland. Um, I think if I think bigger and if I think longer term, and I think, you know, what's the sort of the big dream, and if I think about that world class transformational leader that I want to be, or teacher that I want to be, that I am, I want to really just touch millions and millions of lives and help people just wake up every day and live from moment to moment, and recognizing that their best life is happening right now, that we all have the power inside us to make every situation our best situation right now, and to do our most productive work. um, I'm just thinking, wouldn't it be amazing if we can shift that to be 30% of the world, 40% of the world, 50% of the world, collectively, you know, with all of us who really are here to make people better, to help people be better. But yeah, I mean, I need a lot of magic wands. I feel like I need tons of magic wands. But yeah, I think if I selfishly sort of share, I think that would be my next year, this time, you know, we're making it happen type of thing.
It's fantastic, and it's a lesson, Marilise, because if you ask anyone out there, they might not know unless we have a vision to work towards,
to live into, to live
to
into.
move into, yeah, to plan.
Yeah.
Then it's like cows with no bell, as we say in Spanish. It's like lost on the grazing ground, just grazing here, grazing there, and it depends on the wind and the weather conditions. But we don't have an objective to go to. It's great to have one, even though it will be flexible, obviously. And if you don't end up going to South Africa next year, it could be 2 years, and that's okay with you. But at least you have that there. So that's very inspiring to have something, some goal, because that makes our lives matter, doesn't it?
It does, and I think it's important to recognize, you know, for people watching this, that I didn't have this vision last year, you know, so I've actually in the last 12 months realized that gift of a dream and a desire, and being really able to visualize it and to be able to um, put some details around it so it gets really colorful and juicy. But I didn't do that 12 months ago. Like I've maybe had dreams, and but it was very unconscious. So you're saying, Anna, it's so important to make it conscious, and to allow yourself, to give yourself permission to have that dream. And I work with a coach at the moment that is very much helping me tap into that and to live into that dream. So it may sound like I'm giving you the perfect answers here today, but it's actually something that I only very recently started to do. So I just want to call that out, because I think sometimes we can sit here and we can have these perfect conversations and it look like we've got everything sorted out. But actually, you know what? I may be just a chapter ahead. I'm on the same journey, but I'm grateful and fortunate to be able to work with someone at the moment that's helping me unleash that and do that more and more and more.
Thank you for your honesty and your vulnerability, because that's so inspiring as well. It's like, yeah, when you watch these conversations, everything has everything sorted out and figured out, and they live these perfect lives, but that's not reality.
No.
It's not reality not to have any spot on your skin. It's not reality.
Exactly.
And it's not reality to have the perfect morning routine every day and then this fabulous body. No.
It's not, and it is again. It come back to those baby steps and being gentle with yourself, being kind to yourself. This is a lesson I'm learning over and over and over again. I don't know how many times I'm going to have to learn this lesson, but anyway, I'm sticking with it. But that whole ability to be kind to yourself and to give yourself a bit of, gentleness, and not to beat yourself up, and not wanting to do everything perfect, because I mean perfection is really the enemy for me of good enough. And if we don't step into that state of permission to take action, and for it to be messy and for it to be hard, but then to know and to navigate it, because it's also about that feeling of being comfortable when it's uncomfortable. I've actually had a really tough week because I've been feeling really uninspired and I've been feeling really uncomfortable. And I keep doing my stuff, but I'm not doing it with that sort of level of, oh, I'm not living into it. I'm not like enjoying it as much as I know I can. And I'm like, what's going on with me, right? So I'm working through it and I'm sticking with it, and I'm sticking with it as much as I can, but I know it's just something shifting inside of me, and it's not feeling comfortable, and I've just got to keep going. But it's really hard when everything inside you just wants to stop. And again, it's a skill that we're learning, right? And yeah, I'm just being brutally honest.
Yeah, thank you. It could be the ego, the mind, saying that's not safe where you're going because I don't know where it is, and I might fail keeping you alive. Do you think?
100%,
Yeah.
100% that, yeah. And she said, "This is the thing. I know it. But it's that sort of how do I really surrender, and how do I really accept that it's that little voice is always going to be there, that little part of me. But it's like how do I really just be gentle with that too, and make that a little bit quieter and elevate, the part of me that is able to connect and to channel and to be creative and to be, inspiring. And it's really just like always this balance that's happening.
Yeah. What works for me sometimes, not all the time, sometimes, is to allow myself to feel all the fear rather than trying to stop it, to push it away from me, to allow myself to feel, if not all, you see, I could always have a tap and say, okay, I want to feel 10%, 20, 30, as much as I can feel,
Yeah.
not all in one go, because it could be overwhelming. So as much as you're comfortable with. And then listen to that fear, acknowledge it, acknowledge the fear, and ask it, what is it that you want to tell me? Sometimes it gives you an answer. That's option A. Option B is in your mind, or in my mind. What I do is I imagine what I will be once I'm going through the motions to get there. So I see the future before it happens. That way the mind gets a bit calmer because it knows what's there. If for you, for instance, is to talk in front of 10,000 people in one go, see yourself talking in front of 500, 600, as many as you want, because in your mind, you just copy paste as many people as you want in front of you. And feel it, feel the fear, feel the nervousness, feel the sweaty hands, feel whatever it is. And then you can add more people in front of you and more and more. And then for the mind, you see, it doesn't differentiate between what's true and what's not.
Yes.
So your body gets used to it.
I love that. Yeah, I think Yeah, so Brendan Burchard always says, feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you're saying. It's like feeling through it. I love though that you're actually bringing in the visualization part, and again stepping into that future and bringing it closer to she's like, actually, you know what, you're in the future, but come here, I want to live it now. And it's that sort of, okay, well, maybe then we will be courageous to take that first step.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm having a good
Oh,
lesson today.
awesome.
Yay!
Awesome. They feel the fear and do it anyway. For me, it's very masculine. It's, here I go with my big balls and I'm going to go through whatever it takes. My approach is, what do you need to tell me? What's information you have for me, fear? So that's how I get through it, because do it anyway doesn't work for me. So awesome if it works for some people, for me, it doesn't. I just block myself and it's no freaking way I'm going through this wall.
And that's this is a perfect example, Anna, of when I think about my teachings, is that I always say to people, take what works for you and throw the rest away, because what works for me is not going to necessarily work for you. And I love that you've raised that awareness inside me around the masculine as well, because I historically tended to have very masculine teachers, and worked in very masculine industries, male dominated industries. And we have so many conditionings and wirings that we're undoing really as a result of that, don't we?
Oh, indeed.
So asking the fear, what are you trying to tell me, what are you trying to show me?
Yeah.
You see,
And
that
so,
already, that for me feels expansive.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
And sometimes it's just acknowledgement and you can feel it in your body.
yes.
Where do I feel you, fear? Is it my stomach? Is it my leg? Is it my ears? Whatever it is, where are you and what do you try to tell me? And sometimes you just feel it. Look at me. It's just look at me. It's like a child. A child needs our attention. It doesn't matter what they're saying, it's the attention that they demand.
Love it.
Whether it's I cut my finger or my friend called me stupid, it doesn't matter what it is. Or I found a snail in the garden, it's the attention.
What you put your attention to grows. Hey, amazing. Yeah. Thank you for that.
My enormous pleasure. That's what happens when you listen attentively. I'm learning tons from you. You're learning from me as well. And when we give ourselves the permission to have a conversation heart to heart, to listen and to give whatever the other person's meant to hear, we're infused with that information for the other person.
I absolutely love it. And I think the fact that I mean, I always think about my grandfather used to say that I'm the perfect student. And I'm like, because I'm just such a student. I love learning, and I'm sort of taking it now to the extreme level. But it's that sort of I'm always a student first and a leader, because I think you can't be a leader if you're not prepared to learn and to grow every single moment of every single day.
From anyone.
From anyone, exactly.
From anyone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that.
Wow. What a pleasure. What a pleasure. This has been amazing, Marilise. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. So welcome. And thank you. As you say, this has been an absolute two-way magic happening.
Where can people find you?
Yeah, so I am Roar Coaching and Consulting. So my website is marilise-de-villiers.com. And you can find pretty much everything and anything about Roar on there. And I'm also on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is sort of my main social media platform that I use. Sort of LinkedIn. If you just type in Marilise de Villiers, you should be able to find me.
Put all the links underneath anyway. Marilise, I love you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anna. I love you too. I really appreciate this opportunity. Take care.
You too.